Hello, friends, and welcome to the 321st episode of Play Along Podcast, a video game book club. And in today's episode, we are here with the finale of Immortals of Aveum, going through the end of that game, the final battle and confrontation with Sandrakk, and we will review how we feel about the game in its entirety. I'm your host, Jared, and I'm joined by Kai and Ben as always. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Good. Doing well.
I think we just recorded last weekend, right? I feel like it's been a minute since
we did twice in a row, I believe, last weekend.
Yeah, I just miss you guys. That's
since then I've put here. Let me give you an exact number. Hold on, 14.6 hours into First Light.
Not this game.
No, not this. No, absolutely not. It's quite good. So for those of you out there wondering, I know this comes out and who knows how long from now.
This is like the end of August.
Midsummer. But you know, it's good. I recommend if you haven't given it a shot. It's probably on sale at this point, and they've probably fixed a lot of the performance and optimization issues for PC, which I don't remember the
dates, but Summer Games Fest was just the other day, so we're on the back end of that. But they announced the new content coming to First Light as well, and I think that happens in the later half of this year, which is cool. Hell yeah, I'm excited. Are you going to jump on the? I was asking you to jump on the First Light train, Ben.
Me? Yeah, probably. I'm not going to lie. At some point,
it's a requirement. He's British.
It is. It is.
It's
like national service, like anything that's Bond related, like we just have to consume.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so. Like, jokes aside, I really enjoyed the Hitman games, like the Hitman reboots. Played all of them.
Yeah.
And I just love what it's ID, isn't it, that do it? IO
Interactive.
IO, that's it, yeah. Why do I think ID? Anyway, I like what they did with Hitman and their kind of formula that they have going on. And I think for me, and from what I've seen, it's like the attention to detail. Like you can't engage in any gunplay until you get a license to kill, and you kind of have to be sneaky and stealthy until then. And it's just little bits like that. I think it's definitely on my to play for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I'm doing good. The birth is around the corner, so it's getting very surreal and it's getting very real.
So, by the time you're listening to this, you will have a daughter.
Yeah, my daughter will be like a month old by the time you listen to this, which is crazy. That is some insane thoughts. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. And for us, I think next weekend is our last recording before we go on our break, which is also crazy. We're going to not record for like 2 months, which is the longest we've ever gone without recording. Yeah. I want to miss you guys.
What the fuck am I going to do with my life?
I have all this time.
Play First Light, Ben, and then me and you can talk about it.
Yeah, there you go.
You'll have like a mid-summer break bonus episode from Kai and Ben talking about 007 First Light. So.
I need someone else to play this game so that I can talk about it. We don't have the podcast for the next 2 months. So.
Give me your Steam thing so I can set up the family plan and I can.
You have to do it. You live in the place where you're trying to connect.
Bro, this is like the third week.
I know.
This is a man who hasn't hung art in his apartment in fucking 2 years. There, him setting up the family Steam plan is also not a priority, clearly.
Yes. Well, we have a guest for today, and the guest also talked about my lack of art in the back as soon as they entered the call.
I love a good bit.
You know him, you love him. It's the official fourth chair of the podcast, Matt Storm, aka Stormageddon. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm good. We said this off air, but I was lucky enough to get a review code for First Light and then have proceeded to not play it for weeks because I haven't had time, but I do plan to dive in the next few weeks. I'm excited for it. I'm a sucker for a tight AAA experience. And since I have to wait till September for my two most anticipated games of the last year and a half, or 3 years, depending on when we first heard about them, I'm excited to try First Light. I feel like also to pile on Ben a little bit, like it's all Doctor Who and 007 games are required by law for all British to play. It's just, those are the two. But I'm good. I'm excited to be here. I can't help but feel a little to blame for this as well.
I mean, you are to blame for this.
I mean, full stop. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I love coming on the pod, and like I've been. Last night, I finally finished my homework, as it were, for this game, and so then I dived into a couple hours of Mina the Hollower, which I've been loving. It's a little more difficult than I had anticipated. It has a lot of Soulsborne stuff in it, but Yacht Club from the get give you access to modifiers to like make you invincible, reduce damage, make spikes not hurt you, not lose your bones, which are like your soul equivalent. And so I'm going to try and get through the first dungeon with everything on. And then I think after that, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm going to turn off the Souls-like stuff and just play it as like a Zelda game, which I think is valid. And like, I mean, it looks gorgeous if you grew up with the Game Boy Advanced era stuff, which I know y'all did. Like, this is one to play. I think that Yacht Club always does incredible work. And the fact that they can take an old retro style and make it feel like it would run on those consoles without actually, of course, being able to is awesome. Also, a scoop that I've shared in a few places, though by the time this airs, it won't be a scoop, but it's a scoop for y'all. We were able to snag an interview with our VPs for Mina, and so we are interviewing Jake Kaufman, who most people will know as the composer of Shovel Knight and Shantae, among many other series. And so Jen and I are big fans of him and his work, and so that's really exciting. It's funny, other people are interviewing the game director or the head of Yacht Club, and I was like, hey, can we talk to Jake Kaufman? And they're like, oh, sure. So it's like, so that's exciting too. So that'll be out. So we're recording it next week, so it'll probably be out like I think mid to late June, and so I'm excited for that. But other than that, yes, I have to abuse Jared a little bit when I get on the call because the wall is still blank and like this is the baby's like there's baby stuff in there. Doesn't the baby deserve artwork? Like I don't understand what's happening. Here.
There is all the artwork. All the art is gone except for the Totoro poster is still on the floor. Like if we can all over this, the Totoro poster will go up.
The commitment to the bit is strong.
I will say, like now that there is a video version that's regular also on your channel, like all three of our backgrounds look detailed and have some personality, and then Jared's just a blank wall and a crypt.
The deepest irony about this is Jared has a degree in art.
Yeah.
I do.
He's like, it's all up here.
Yeah,
I don't need it back there.
Art of the mind.
I don't need it out here. Well, and my background before at least had some stuff. Like we got rid of the couch, but I had the couch in the old place. I had the green accent wall. I had plants back there too. And then here I'm just like, it's fine. It's
fine. You got other things going on.
It's true. You're a little busy.
Yeah, I think Mina's gonna be we talked about like our break. My break game because I love Shovel. I'm so excited for your interview with the composer because the Shovel Knight music is just so good. It is some of like the best video game music. And I love that game. I'm plugging through some of the DLC because I never finished all three of the DLCs.
All the DLCs are great. Yeah.
But I'm gonna play through those and I'm gonna play through Mina as well because Mina has been one that all of us that have anybody that has followed Yacht Club and like Shovel Knight has been watching this game get trailers and get moved around and just waiting for a release date that's finally here. So I also appreciate and know the feeling that too where you're playing your homework game and there's all these other games calling to you in the background and you're like, okay, I guess I'll boot up Immortals tonight instead of these other fun games that I have to play.
Yeah. I mean, also like I'm playing the other homework game I assigned myself, which is the Drifter, which I've paused to play Immortals for this series that won't air until after Drifter's done. But I have been enjoying that, and I'm excited to hear episode 3. I think is the one that I'm waiting to listen to. And so I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it because I've really been digging that and like. I just haven't. I can't remember the last time I played an adventure game. So to have a reason to play one has been pretty fun.
I feel like we owe you a like premature for you, but not premature for us apology because we kind of dug you out when Jared.
Yeah, the first episode of Immortals, or the end of the finale, we're like. I was like, Immortals is great, but it's kind of bad. That's kind of like the consensus. And they're like, why did we pick this? And I was like, well, Matt recommended it. And they're like, what the hell, Matt? Why did you do this?
That's fine. I'm used to that. I have very good takes and very bad takes. There's nothing in between. It's just one or the other.
It could have been a sleeper hit.
It could have been.
Apparently, it suffered from a bad release window. I don't know what released around it, but it could have been like, oh, actually, this is incredible. And it just misses up, but unfortunately.
I also don't think this is a flat out bad game. We'll get to it. But like, I think that I'm complicated on this one, and I like that better. It makes for interesting combo. But I'm excited to chat about it with y'all.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do some housekeeping here before we dive into the episode proper. Like I said at the top of the episode, we are Play Along Podcast, a video game book club where we play through games in a book club format. What we usually do, myself, Kai, and Ben each take turns choosing a game. We then break that game into sections and
they wait. They know.
I swear, it hadn't happened the entire time. And right when I start the housekeeping, they're like, wait.
Yeah.
My house is bugged. My house is bugged. Yes, we each take turns picking a game. We break it down and come together each section to talk about all that specifically. I say it all the time, but we all three of us have such a wide range of games that we like, and we're taking games from the audience too for recommendations. So there is bound to be something, a game that you like or a game that you're interested in that we've covered for the show. There is so much, and even at the finale, it is always the perfect time to grab the game, join the conversation, and play along with us. On top of that, we also have another side series on the show called Get Wrecked, where we grab a guest from the internet and swap video game recommendations. Our most recent one, I was joined by Gianni from the Content Mill podcast. We talked about Indica and Super Mario Odyssey, almost like Galaxy. Super Mario Odyssey,
hell yeah,
which interesting combination of games, but I'm excited for you guys to hear me talk about Indica, because Indica is again, I said it in the last episode, Ben, but this is a Ben-ass game.
Indica is absolutely. I played it too.
Sure.
Completely agree. Yeah.
And I looked it up. I didn't know the time. I knew it was short before, but I didn't know the exact time. But it's 4 hours long. This is like an afternoon game. That
I think after I play my Get Wrecked game, I think I'll probably will be playing Indica.
Yeah. And I think I said this the last time I brought up Indica, but it's on PlayStation Plus if you have like subscription services. I think it's on Game Pass too. Great game. It is worth the 4 hour time. It is a great game for sure. Okay, well, let's get into today's episode. Before we get into covering chapters 16 to 18 through the finale, I already forgot. I want to send it over to Matt, because this is your first time talking about the game and on the show for this part of the series. So I want to get some of your first impressions of Immortals of Aveum, and if you have any kind of like thoughts on any gameplay mechanics, if there was any narrative things that have stuck up to this point as well.
So first, I feel like I want to cast the blame out to someone else, and so I actually chose this game because our friend Dave Jackson does a backlog resolutions every year, and I put it on that list. And so when y'all were looking for suggestions, I went, oh, well, I have this list for Dave's server. I'll suggest this game because I wanted to play it. So it's actually Dave's fault.
I'm fine with blaming Dave. Let's blame Dave. I'm fine with Dave.
He's not here to defend himself. I mean, I had heard about this game. I heard about it when it got the unfair moniker of Call of Duty with Magic, which even the studio had hated. But I get the shorthand, right? We're all digging for shorthand. And after having played it, I would agree there's some truth to that. But I'd always been curious, and I am bad at shooters historically. And so I need them to be interesting to really want to dive in, like Doom 2016, the Halo games, things like that. So that's like what led me to want to play this. And then I forgot about it for a while. And then I think we were doing our list this year, and it was like on sale for $5 on PlayStation. And so I was like, all right, what I might as well play this. I haven't played a shooter this year yet. And like, I try to dabble to see if there's anything I want to dip my toes into. And so I, figured why not? And then when y'all were looking for suggestions, like, well, if I'm going to play a game and or suffer, might as well suggest it to others. And so I pitched it in that channel, and grateful that you guys picked it, and grateful to be back on the show. As far as broad thoughts, I think early on I was really vibing with it. The world was gorgeous. The gameplay was unique and interesting and fun. The characters were interesting. I was hanging out with Gina Torres. Who doesn't love that? Like, the actress who plays Kirkin is one of my favorites. I loved Firefly. So like, I was excited for that. And like the acting was okay early on, right? It was a little like B movie, but like not terrible. As I would continue to play, the boss fights, for one, I complained a lot to Jared and Ben about. They just aren't mostly good. I wish more video games would not have boss battles. I think that there's this requirement for them, and there are plenty of games that I've played with no boss battles that I don't go, oh, I wish there was a boss battle here. So I think it suffered from that. And then the combat, I think, becomes samey fast. I mean, but this is a shooter me problem, I think. Like once I find the shotgun equivalent, that's all I use, because Red
Magic. Let's go.
I have terrible aim, and I like to get up close. And so, Red Magic, most of the Blast Wave stuff I use the most. But I don't know. By halfway through the game, when you have all the abilities and all of the variety of weapons, it's like, okay, so that this is it. And then, like, I hate the sub weapons besides the lash, which is all I use the whole game. Like the one that slows enemies down, and the one that stuns them.
The green one isn't.
They just felt useless, except for puzzle solving, which was sometimes interesting.
Right.
And so I think at this point, joining you guys, I'm overall conflicted about the game. I don't think it's an abject failure, but I think I can see why people didn't vibe with it, which is a bummer because my favorite thing about the game is the world and the design. Like, while the characters and the writing isn't always great, I love this world. I think it's fascinating. I love the design of it. It's unique. I've never really seen anything like this. And so if nothing else, I'm bummed that this studio basically suffered massive layoffs after the game's release.
Yeah.
And like it still exists. The studio technically still exists, but like I don't think we're ever going to get another one of these games. And that's a bummer because I think there'd be an opportunity to make something better. Because I don't think this is an abject failure. But that's kind of my like broad thoughts going into this.
Yeah, it is kind of a shame that you don't get like some people that get the opportunity for a sequel have a chance to kind of build off of the things they've learned from their first experience, and the studio just is never going to get that chance. We're never going to get an Immortals of Aveum 2. It's not going to happen. Nope. Maybe in like 20 years there'll be an Immortals of Aveum spiritual successor that we that we get.
I feel like there's also a glut of this type of IP at this time. Yeah. Like there was like a million of these versions that came, like Immortals, fucking that weird ass game that you played that was the mishmash of every genre of all time. Jared,
I mean a little more.
It's exactly like this. It's magic.
Is it first person?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
first person magic game that I played that it was like a bunch of different genres. Oh, Avowed.
Yeah, Avowed. There's also that game with the black girl that came out around this time too that everyone's comparing Laufey to.
South of Midnight, which was an excellent game.
Sure. Forspoken.
Or Forspoken.
Forspoken was the one that had the cringy dialogue.
Like once again, there's just at this time, 2022, 2021, like this was post. I feel like there was a lot of money coming out of COVID. Everyone was like, oh, we're going to do high fantasy because there's not a lot of high fantasy in the market at this time. And then they just went hard in the paint with a lot of mediocre high fantasy that didn't really connect with anyone. And it's like, and even fucking, what is that, like online battler that just came out that we played, the High Guard, which is like the same thing, right? It's like, how do you do high fantasy?
RIP to High Guard.
Yeah, but like once again, like they just keep making these things because they're like, well, there's not one around, and it's like, well, it's because no one wanted them.
Yeah, I looked at the release window for the game, and
because they said they struggled because of the launch or something, right?
Outside of like a couple of ports, like Dead Cell got ports to PS5 and stuff. Like the only free games I could see that came out at the same time that would potentially Stray, I wouldn't say would have been a problem, but I guess it had a lot of hype because it was like a cat game.
Yeah.
Overwatch 2 released. I was like,
that's not free anyway. Yes. Baldur's Gate 3 would have done it. Especially another high fantasy like world too, very similar in that, not similar in gameplay, but especially for people coming to that franchise for the first time. Yeah. That's
talk about
high fantasy done well.
Yeah. You also had the Avatar game, which I guess kind of Modern Warfare 3 released around the same time.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Mirage, Alan Wake 2.
Okay, so there's some big names there too that people are familiar with.
Yeah,
I also don't know necessarily if like I believe it's 100% release window.
No,
I feel like
the game itself is also
necessarily derogatory, but like I feel like it's a mid game, and I feel like whenever you released it, it was gonna be like a mid game regardless. I just feel like it maybe didn't get as much time in the sun, like in the limelight, as it could have.
Yeah, I think the bigger problem here is like there are plenty of mid games that still get lauded or enjoyed. I think this is a mid game that was a new franchise during a bad release window with like veteran developers, but from a new studio. And there's no room to fail. I mean, I'll never forget when Spider-Man 2 came out and then Insomniac had layoffs like months later, and it was one of the highest selling games in the history of this console cycle. It's like, if good games can't get you enough clout and money to not lay off your staff, bad games aren't going to either.
For sure.
It's like nothing's allowed to fail in the same way. I mean, even in movies now, I think like, music and books still have this room for people to find their footing a little bit, especially since it's so much easier to put out independent stuff, I think, for books and music. But movies and video games, I think even indie devs, like unless it's all under your own steam, you're in trouble if you don't do well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a balance. I think obviously if you make good art, it's good art. And I think we're seeing that in the movie space, like I just went and saw Obsession, which is the first movie I've seen in theaters in 2 years now, and like Backrooms overperforming as well in that space, right? Like against this dumbass fucking Grogu bullshit that they keep pumping out for no goddamn reason. Like, but that proves the point, right? If you make something interesting, if you do it within a reasonable budget, like you're gonna find success in that space, and especially with word of mouth and how important kind of social media is in getting these things out. It's just like, yes, at a budget that's I think this took $120 million to make Immortals of Aveum, and it's like you were probably not going to ever make that back without it being like a smash success, and it just isn't that. So
it's such a shame, but let's get into the conversation here. So the end of last time of Immortals of Aveum, we got our powers back. We got all of our stuff back. Jack Thanos snapped everyone's magic back, which was interesting. Which was something. Yep. Everyone gets their magic.
Yep.
And we're heading to Glavegate, because Glavegate is where oh gosh,
Zendara.
I keep wanting to say Zendaya, and that's
this
happened the other
very different.
Very different.
Very different. Zendara is there, kind of holding down the fort against the Rosharnian army. So really, it's just kind of us traveling and getting to Glavegate. When we do get there, I actually like her like new look. She has that like, because she's the queen. Remember, she's a princess rather. She's the princess here. She has a cool get up here and everything, and it's essentially just telling us that we need to hold down the fort here as Rasharn and everybody is attacking. And who shows up but the man himself, Sandrakk. Sandrakk shows up here, and he just wants to talk. He wants us to go onto a ship, and he just wants to talk to us. And I want to get your guys' opinion on this too, because we're pretty late in the game at this point, and they're introducing like new lore stuff, because her and Sandrakk do like a blood oath.
No, it's not her. It's fucking
you're right.
Reginald or whatever his fucking name is.
Thaddeus.
Thaddeus, yeah. Thaddeus and him do like an old school ancient oath where they're like,
of course.
Well,
it's magic.
Specifically, the reason that Thaddeus knew that trouble was brewing was because Jack and Luna had mind linked, and Thaddeus had been able to eavesdrop in and could detect that they were in trouble. I have to say, as somebody who plays D&D and somebody who kind of like consumes a lot of fantasy content, I liked this. I know it seems really, really corny, but there's a lot of like blood contracts and blood pacts, and like the idea that like he was able to get Sandrakk to say that he wouldn't harm Jack and do it as a spell so that he would be like physically enabled to do so. I was like, oh, that's like, it felt right to the kind of fantasy setting that the world's in. It was corny as hell, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, the world building, like I said earlier, is my favorite thing, and also as a lifelong D&D player, I think that's where I see a lot of it. Is like, there are like clearly someone on the staff for this game was a fan of D&D or D&D adjacent stuff, because there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the world. But yes, it was cheesy, and I think the struggle here is the writing. Like, none of the characters, besides Zendara, like seem to have a real character, like, and even she is struggling under the weight of the bad writing, but she is better than I think a lot of them. Most of them are kind of caricatures, especially at this point.
Yeah, I think to Jared's point, it's just that it was introduced so late into the game.
Like,
there was multiple opportunities to use this conceit earlier in the game, especially when, you know, they're first coming into being the Immortals, and like there's a lack of trust. That would have been a good moment to be like, oh, this is the thing, and introduce it, and then bring it back in the end as a callback. But instead of doing that, they just threw it in at the end as like oh, this is a thing that now exists. And it's like,
well, it's just more of kind of the, which we'll get to more later, but the Jack plot armor that happens, because Thaddeus can kill us at any point, because he's strong. He has the full power of the Binding Stone and the fonts and everything.
That's not
Thaddeus.
Oh, sorry, Sandrakk. God,
too many proper nouns in this game. My biggest complaint the entire time playing it is there are too many proper nouns.
So yeah, it was less of the. I love the idea. I think the idea is really cool. It's just the implementation I thought was weird, because I do like the idea of having the spell where you're like physically unable to go against the oath that you had took. Like that's cool. Like that's pretty badass. It was just
I think
just weird that it was introduced at this point.
Yeah, I think I hadn't really considered it until Kai said, but like especially if the Immortals were being more open about Sandrakk's origin and kind of where he come from, it would be a cool way to introduce, like, right, this is the Immortals oath. Like when you're sworn in, you have
take this oath.
Says, like, I will not do anything that is against the interest of the Immortals, and like kind of done it that way. I hadn't really thought about it. I don't know. Again, like I don't know if it's because I consume D&D content. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I know about that. Like I know about like
blood. Yes, blood.
Like yes, a blood oath. As I expect, just in time.
That's a thing that happens in fantasy. I know this.
Yeah. The also the big kind of twist here is, again, Sandrakk wants us to come on to his ship, and Kirkin is already there. Kirkin's been there. Kirkin's been chilling with Sandrakk. Do we see this? Because Jack obviously sees this as like a big betrayal, because Sandrakk is Sandrakk's the bad guy.
Well, sorry, are you talking about us in general, or are you talking like how do we feel about
our opinions?
Do we see this as, because I mean, again, I think the idea, right, that we're all talking about is using magic is making this world-ending like tremor grow. We should like work together and destroy this. Like in our minds, that's like the main thing. But obviously, Jack sees this as like doing like the most.
Have we explained about that yet to the people listening? Have we explained about the fact that like, not because it's not the wound, like this is when we learn about the Pentasard, right? Like the Pentasard is like breaking down and is basically
that's coming up.
Or is that later?
Yeah,
on?
we get
later.
that coming
that's
up.
After you get that's when we don't believe him. He takes us down into the depths of the Pentasad, and it's like this is where all of the thoughts and knowledge of the world go. And that's why we can't remember it. My major problem with this entire section is there's a lot of like fake outs that they do in this section, and there's a lot of like twisting of the plot right at the end. It's like these are things you could have introduced throughout the entire narrative to keep it interesting, but instead of doing that, you're like, Kirkin is aligned with Sandrakk because she's like, well, he's the most powerful guy in the world, and like, oh well, like, you know, I'm still interested in just saving the planet. And she does her little hand thing showing us that the Earth is going to be consumed relatively quickly, and it feels out of nowhere. And it's like, that is a logical conclusion to come from, but because you haven't seeded that throughout the last at least, you know, couple hours of gameplay, it feels like it comes out of nowhere, and then you just like dump us into all of this like pentacade lore dump that you do, where it's like, okay, here's actually what the wound is, and all these fish that are going around for some reason for the first time that we're seeing, and it's like, this is why you can't remember anything. And it's like, did anyone mention that during the thing? It's like our knowledge is getting sucked into the hole.
That's why you don't remember it, because it was absorbed.
I feel like my knowledge has been sucked into the
I think
hole.
In terms of Kirkin, I think, if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm just being like fucking really pessimistic or whatever. Like I almost expected more that like Kirkin would have been killed by Sandrakk, because like she refused to yield. Like she seemed so kind of self-righteous about the Immortals and the Immortals mission and how it was wrong. Like I thought until her dying breath she would be against Sandrakk and she would be so opposed to his mission.
That's why for me, this, like, I feel like Jack's responding off of like just Kirkin being on the bad side and going to the bad side. My portrayal is just like, we could have come here so much sooner. We could have saved so many people from dying if you just were like, yeah, we probably should like work together and destroy the wound. Like we probably should just do that. And she doesn't come to that conclusion until like she's like fully on the back foot of being like, oh yeah, I guess we should.
It's not only that. There's a moment then where they're like, there's this moment with Thaddeus when we're getting closer to actually like talking about destroying the wound, and they just throw in the fact that they're like, oh, by the way, the Immortals get sacrificed into the wound. Did you know that?
Oh yeah,
it's
that
like,
was really weird.
Yeah,
and he's like, that's why I left the Immortals. And it's like, you could have put that when you first meet Thaddeus. And he's like, you know, the reason I left the Immortals is because they sacrifice you to a giant pit, and it doesn't really do anything. And you're like, oh.
Jack does ask, and Thaddeus is just like, oh, like I don't want to talk about it, dog. Like I'm not. It's not something I'm comfortable mentioning.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's I think this is again the struggle of the writing, because also like it's hard to feel as outraged as Jack does because
Right.
the emotional impact isn't there. Like, look, I actually kind of liked Devin as a character. He was interesting. He was unique. He was quirky for a fantasy character.
Damn.
His dialogue was terrible, but
Yeah.
like having a kind of geeky, kind of nerdy kid that feels very human was an interesting thought. But like his death is just Jack feels the weight because they make the character emote and act, but I don't feel it because I just like, honestly, if they had killed Zendara in that moment, I might have felt it more because I just liked the character better.
I like Zendara
but obviously
better,
also she actually had a point to the narrative with her royalty. But like there's a lot of that in this game. And like while in the early game, there's a lot to bond you to Kirkin and these characters. And then like I called in our group chat that Luna was the hand before they revealed it. Which seems more obvious the more I think about it. But even Luna's character, like the moments before you get your magic back where you're walking around the city and chatting, I love those moments. They feel real. When the beginning of the game, when you're, running around before you have your magic, like those moments feel real. There's real connection. And then the rest of the game just showcases how none of that exists. Like there are moments between Thaddeus and Jack that I like when they banter, but then there's like, we'll get to it, but the end of this game, the banter they squeeze in, like I was like, what is this? Like I want these characters to feel more relatable, but also like there's an opportunity to just flesh there's this weird want to make them feel like characters from our world while being in a fantasy world, which I get to a point. You're trying to make it feel like realistic, but then there are just things that happen that I'm like, they wouldn't talk about it this way.
What happened is they had a beginning and an end, and they were like, how do we get to those 2 points? Because like, you can tell the beginning of the game feels really fleshed out. You're like, oh, this is emotionally charged. We meet all these characters. There's a lot of detail. You get to the end of the game, it's emotionally charged. There's a lot of characters and a lot of detail, and they're like,
a lot of in between that.
Okay, we got 11 hours of gameplay to fill out, and we need to connect it somehow. And it's like, that's not how you write a story.
This is the Spark Notes story of Immortals of Aveum. We're getting like the piece together version of it.
Yeah, but I 100% agree with you, Matt. Like, there's it's just like they didn't know how to make the characters interact with one another that made sense. And like Zendara is a interesting character just from the standpoint of being like a giant buff lady who's like royal and very hard on the main character. And like she continues to call Jack initiate throughout the entire rest of the game, right? Like even after he comes back to fight for her in her kingdom, she still says initiate, which is like an interesting power dynamic kind of nod to that.
Not just that, but if you speak to Thaddeus before you get on Sandrakk's ship and go to Sandrakk's ship, he explains that initiate, I can't remember the exact wording he uses, but basically initiate is like a term of endearment for Zendara's like people and where she's from.
So he's like they're initiates of whatever god or whatever.
Interesting.
And so Jack's like, what? Really? And like, but they put it in an optional conversation with Thaddeus. That should have been
it's weird because like you're right. I wish that was real actual dialogue that wasn't optional, but it almost kind of felt like it was starting to become like a positive moniker as like it's just kind of like what she was calling us, and it felt more positive than like something that was negative as it started. But it is weird. You're right.
It's so weird because like I think like us as well, like from the get-go, Jack is just like, oh, like she's belittling me, like she doesn't like me because I'm a lightless, and then like you don't find out, like unless you do that optional dialogue, you don't find out that actually like it's a term of.
I mean, she definitely doesn't like us at the beginning. I want to be clear.
Yes.
It does grow over time.
To be fair, I relate more to Zendara in the game than Jack because I also don't like Jack for quite a bit of time. And like, I think the problem that this section has, especially now aligning with Sandrakk, we're on the ship and there's this sense of betrayal, is that Sandrakk the whole game has been played as like the smarmy villain, which I think is a cliche but fun role, but they don't do anything with it, right? And like even with the betrayal, like again, I think Luna is one of the best characters who gets nothing to do. Like she is interesting, her armor's awesome, she's so cool in the fights, and then they literally don't use her for anything.
They sprinkle her in when she's convenient for fight plot, and then they're like, bye, I'm gonna
leave. I think that's this biggest problem, is that the game is more concerned about being a mage first-person shooter, which I get gameplay is important, than having a coherent story. Like, I loved the idea of the orb that flies up and you get to talk to your allies. Such a cool way to do like a comm system, and then they never really do anything interesting with it. It just kind of pops up to lore dump on you.
Also,
they pulled Devon through it nearly. Like, that's about as good as it gets.
If you reconfigure the game to be completely from Luna's perspective, it's a much more interesting story and a much more
like
game.
she has definitely more interesting.
If you fall into the pit at the beginning of the game and you're saved by Sandrakk and convinced to fight for his army, and
I want that story. That'd be cool.
And then you start battling the people that are the Immortals that are supposed to be good, and you meet Thaddeus and you meet Rook as Luna, and you continue through that strategy, and then eventually you turn on Sandrakk and prevent him from that's a much more interesting narrative than this fucking Triforce dickwad who's just like snappy one-liners every 12 minutes is the entire point of the game.
I love that because there's Assassin's Creed Rogue did this where your main character is with the Templars instead of with the Assassins Guild and everything. Like he gets hurt by the guild or something happens in the beginning and he kind of switches. And the idea of playing the opposite side or playing the bad guys, especially in this game where it's very kind of like gray on who is bad and who's not bad, it'd be cool to be on the side of the quote unquote bad guys if you were part of the Rasharnian army and then you led up to learn all this stuff and everything. But
I think it's just interesting as well because like my biggest point of confusion at this point in the game at least was like, okay, so like we never fully understand why Sandrakk takes the turn he does. Like he starts off like, I'm gonna get the Bind in Stone because like I don't agree with the Immortals mission and like and like magic shouldn't be for everyone and blah 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 blah. And then he's just like gets the power and he's like, cool, now I'm gonna kill God. And you're like, what where does that come from?
I will say that there are several real life examples of people who want power and power corrupts them completely. And so like there are more analogs to our modern day US government than I would love to point out. But I think also it's part of it is like he's charismatic and he thinks he's smart and he thinks he knows everything. But as we find out in these last chapters, he knows less than he thinks.
Right. But it's not. I would agree with you that is a trope that can exist and be, interesting. The problem is that all of those twists happen back to back right at the very end, and it's like
it feels out of character because Sandrakk, even though, like you said, even though he is like he thinks he's smart, he has a very like calm, collective like demeanor to himself.
And to be clear, it's not that he thinks he's smart; it's that everyone thinks he's smart. Everyone comes around to rally behind him, except for essentially Jack at the end, and it's like. Well, so if everyone thinks this, then he's right. Like, you probably killed the Pentasade. Something happens, like whether magic goes away completely, like who knows? But it's just like there's no payoff for him being wrong. Like he doesn't get his comeuppance really. It's just like he's there and then he's not, and that's his story. And it's like, well, that's not very compelling ultimately.
Well, I mean, that leads us to the next section. So after we meet on the ship and they tell us what's happening, that we actually have to go into the Pentasad's realm to stop this by killing him. And Jack is like, no, we should talk to the Pentasad. We're homies, which is fine. Which is like funny enough. And then once they're on the elevator to go in, the worst line of the entire game is uttered where Sandrakk says, we're not actually descending into the Pentasad's realm. But if we imagine that
imagine it, then we are.
We will.
Yeah.
What?
They're aliens, right?
The Pentasad?
Like the Pentasad and
everything? It's very high. Or they've just been on Earth forever.
Just been on Earth.
Maybe. There's just one of them.
Yeah.
It's very
or Aveum. I think the planet is actually called Aveum or whatever.
Aveum, but it's very confusing because they created the ley lines, but then there's just one of them. And then
I'm big on manifestation, baby. If you want to believe it to be true, then you pop off. You believe that to be true.
It's confusing as well because like I'm watching through like a video game play because like full disclosure, like I played this last weekend and I can't remember the finer details of it. Like I forgot that. The shrouded realm is like a whole realm. It's not like you don't.
It's like a whole
an alternate universe.
It's a mirror of Aveum or Earth or whatever the fuck it's supposed to be.
I forgot that.
And they're linked, which is the even more confusing part because Sandrakk says these are linked, and if one goes away, the other goes away. But then he also wants to destroy and close the one, which is like that doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, well, okay. And then how do we end up with the whole Rook thing? The Pentasade absorbs us and shows us the vision.
Yeah, it's you. Sandrakk tries to kill him, the Pentasade. Right. You try to stop him, and and then the Pentasade defends itself against Sandrakk and banishes you to like its memory to like see what happened. And like Kai said, these reveals are awesome, but where were they?
This is cool.
Hours ago. 2 hours ago.
Me and Kai, before everyone got into the call, we're chatting about this for a second, but me and Ben yapped about how wild the interactions between Rook and Jack are. Like they are crazy, they're cringy and everything too. And I think a lot of that's for Jack. Like that's on Jack's end more than anything.
I love Rook, honestly. I think he's one of the best characters in the game. He's awesome. He's just a vibe. And
Rook here now being kind of the quintessential like turning point for this entire narrative, honestly, I think is really cool. Like I love, this is kind of like, I think Matt in our chat, you said like, this brought me back in. Like this is the kind of stuff that brings me in, but it's so like, again, it's just like we're piling it on at the end, and
where
like,
was
you're
it?
too late.
2 hours
there's
ago.
Also such a clear perfect moment where you introduce all of this. When you first meet Thaddeus, and Thaddeus has been living with Rook for years.
Yes.
And he's like, by the way, the Immortals sacrificed themselves to the Pentasade to heal the wound. What's really supposed to happen is Rook and his people are supposed to heal, but because humans are so evil and biased and they see that they're just absorbing magic, they view it as, and that's the point in time that you give that reveal, and you have to figure out a way to like, okay, well, how do we solve this problem? Rather than just at the end being like, oh, by the way, all these people are here to actually be one happy ecosystem.
It makes sense as well. It makes sense as well because like Thaddeus's like whole crib is like just a library of ancient texts.
Yeah, he has all this knowledge,
like forgotten knowledge. And
when Jack comes and says like, "This is what I've learned from the Pentasade," Thaddeus goes, "Yeah, that lines up with my research." And it's like that's the literal line he throws out, and it's like, "What have you been doing? What is your purpose?"
The big problem also that this game has is Jack has to solve everything, which I get. He's the hero, but like, and then he just shows up and tells people this is how it works, and it's a lot of the also you need to listen to me, I refuse to listen to you. Like I hate that. I hate that. It's like it's the relationship problem in movies where like two people, if they just talk, there'd be no issues. Like that's this whole game. If people just went to therapy and spoke to each other, there'd be no problems.
It's not only that, there's so much plot hole in the end of this game that Jack gets back to the group and literally holds up his hand, and then just an image of the Allori healing the wound appears. The whole story, and everyone's like, what? How does that work? And I think Kirkin is like, do you have any other kumbaya ass visions from the Pentasade you'd like to share with us? And he's like, no, I'm just, me and him are homies. And it's like, what is this dialogue? What is happening right now?
I know we're gone.
Oh, I was gonna say, go for it. I was talking more about what we were talking about here.
I just wanted to say, like, I know we're talking plot, but I don't know about y'all. I fucking struggled with the gameplay of this section. The enemy gauntlets that were being thrown at you in the Shrouded Realm were so fucking hard.
Not only the gauntlets, but the fact that they were all those flying creatures that you have to use the same magic to damage.
Which the worst one.
Just
I don't know what they're called, but the laser beam guys I really did not like.
The blue ones. They're the blue flying ones. Not only that, but I also hate the snake lizards that come out of the poison things.
Yeah.
Like those, and you have to fight so many.
Here's the other thing. Going back to plot for a second. Like I get it. It's a first person shooter. There has to be an enemy. But who are we fighting?
Yeah.
Technically we're on everyone's side right now. Sandrakk thinks we're fighting for him. Pentasade
I also thought this too. I was like, isn't this Sandrakk's army? Isn't this his army in here? Are they stopping us?
Well, those creatures, the colored creatures, I think are just part of that world and part of the Shrouded Realm. But yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's also like the first person shooter of it all is like every battle from the midway point of this game on feels arduous. Like the early stuff, like they make you switch it up, the different mechanics, the different, like they don't introduce the blue version of the hyper powerful mage until like the last battle or the second to last battle.
Is when you fight the blue mage for the first time.
Yeah. And it's just, and then all of those specialty mages become regular enemies, which is the worst.
Yeah.
And also they just drop all the puzzle solving.
Yeah,
like the middle of the game is just
there's no puzzles
using magic puzzle. Well, at the very, very end, there is a little bit because you have to like tag team with Sandrakk to open doors a couple of times. But outside of that, it's like, what? do we not just play 4 hours of us solving puzzles to get to this point, to never use green manipulation magic ever again to the end of the game? It's like,
it's bizarre. It's bizarre, and like I think, I don't know. I really do love the idea of using magic as a first person shooter. I think it's interesting.
I think it's cool.
There wasn't enough variety of weapons, and I think they're like forcing you to use certain magics as weaknesses for certain enemies didn't make sense for the comp for each battle. Like it never felt good or easy to, and there should be a challenge, but it never felt intuitive to switch between the magics and what enemy was weak to at any given moment, except for the ones that were only one color at all times.
Yeah. Well, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, I think even though the bosses aren't great, I think that's the moment to use them. Like the big rock golem that has like the different colored gems on him. You have to use your specific magic with the allotted colors. Like that's cool. I think that works well. But in this, again, I think the last episode with Will we talked about is like it's just like overstimulation. Like there's in these battles, there's just so much going on that's hard to juggle these things, and it's easier to do when you're doing like a one-on-one battle, like the Sandrakk battle and things like that.
Well, we talked about this in the second episode, which is that it would have been like, because they introduced the magics at the beginning of the game so quickly, where it's like, oh, here's red, green, and blue. This is what you use them for. It would have been a much better approach to do like a Zelda conceit, where it's like dungeons equal the magic you're using. You collect them over time. You have to master whatever the color of magic is. And like that way it becomes a lot less like having to switch consistently between them. But you get like, okay, I now understand where to use blue magic, how to use it. And at the end of the game is bringing that mastery together to use all three of them in a way that's very like satisfying, rather than just, okay, well, hour 2 of this game is the same as hour 10 of this game, where it's just more enemies, it's more of a bullet hell, more is going on, where, it doesn't feel like you're really, to your point, like the weapons don't scale. It's like there's a lot of changes right at the beginning. You're doing a lot of different things, then you kind of figure out what works for you, and you're just using that for the next 6 hours of gameplay, which is not very interesting, inevitably.
Also, you guys might have talked about this already, but stop putting useless crafting and upgrading in games. Please stop. Like
you're never gonna win this battle.
I know.
I completely agree with you, but you have a man who loves to craft.
I love this shit.
So I love it with purpose, but like I never felt stronger. Every time I upgraded a weapon, it never felt better or did more damage. And also, this game, unless I missed it, never tells you the different types of each color weapon. I didn't know till I used it, like the spiraling green versus the homing missiles.
Each one has 3 different types of weapon.
They never
each color. The name though, because like the frag fire is the one that is the red one that shoots the ball. Yeah, but then you've got breach fire and something like it. It doesn't.
Yeah, like they never talk about.
Tell that. You just have to figure it out, and that drove me bonkers for like the first 4 or 5 hours.
I don't think like outside of knowing that there was like a red one that's a shotgun and a red one that's like a grenade launcher, and then there's a blue one that's like a beam and a blue one that's a javelin. I never worked out the difference in the green. Like to me, the green.
It's how it's the fire rate and how they fire, right?
So one fires in like a spiral, which is a little inaccurate, but like you can do more damage. One fires like a machine gun, basically. That like it just fires like really fast. Missile, and then there's one that's like homing missiles that will follow the enemies, which is the one I used the most because I didn't have to aim as much because they would just go where they needed to go, which made my life easier.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see what you were saying, Matt, where it does truly not feel like you're doing much as you're upgrading. I'm big, and I just talked to Dave about this too. I'm a numbers go up guy. When I see the number go up, and I'm just like, I'm stronger, I guess. I guess I'll just
I like number go up, but like show me the number. Like the shotgun never felt powerful till I had one of the legendary weapons at the end of the game. Then I would do people's health bar, like I'd cut their health bars in half with that. But like before that, it never felt powerful.
Yeah, I think their approach is to try to keep you consistent with gun leveling and enemy difficulty, which never makes you
it doesn't actually feel like you're doing.
You never get that power fantasy you're looking for, where you feel like you can just mow through enemies. And I think that more has to do with like they needed to maintain the weaker enemies throughout the later sections. It's like you just kept taking the more difficult enemies and using those as the grunts compared to the other enemies. And if you just had a bunch of enemies that you could like mow down and then a couple more difficult enemies that were a challenge, that would have been a lot better than just having this like endless arduous wave. Now once again, me and Matt, are probably not the people to talk about the difficulty in shooters, as
Correct.
people who do not enjoy feeling challenged in this
Yeah.
space. I'm
Yeah.
sure that if you enjoy that challenge and that's something that you like take away and you enjoy, it's probably beneficial. But for me, at least,
I mean,
it just was
Yeah.
like
going
As a fan of shooters, no, not
crawling
at all.
through glass.
as a fan of shooters, and I played this on a harder difficulty, right? I played this on Immortals. I played this on the harder difficulty
Craziness.
too. And I did enjoy aspects of that, but it's interesting because even in the skill tree, a lot of the benefits that you can get are like percentage based.
Yeah.
Talk about
I
useless.
I think the problem is when I'm in a gunfight, there's so much happening. I don't notice the 15% cooldown that I get from my dashes. Like I'm panicking. I'm just like throwing shit at them and just trying to survive.
I think that's stuff. Go for it, Ben.
Sorry. I was to say, I think especially in this section as well, because like
in the Shrouded Realm,
what the game kind of does is, especially at this point, is like instead of giving you like beefier enemies that are harder, it just gives you more. It just gives you more enemies, and the gauntlets get longer, and there's like more wisps, and the wisps are especially for me, it was the green wisps. I could not seem to hit the green wisps with the green fucking magic because I wasn't using the homing magic. I was using the Gatling gun.
One and just, like,
so I was just kind of like trying to fucking hit roughly where they are.
Well, perk percentages make sense in an online multiplayer. Like if this was high guard, I get it because it's like, okay, a 15% cooldown, that's a perk that I'm adding that makes sense in competitive play. When you're playing a game like this, it's like it doesn't really matter. Like this game isn't, and I think this is the problem with the comparison of Call of Duty. This game is Halo, not Call of Duty. Like,
without
I get more Halo.
Yeah, like it's just it's a bullet hell shooter. It's Doom. It's Halo. There's not a lot like them adding all of that additional technical depth to it didn't really add anything because it's not about you're not doing attack sim. You're not concerned about like what is my reload time? How do I get that down to the lowest amount so that I can like take out an enemy before they kill me? Right? It's just like, oh well, this is a thing that has to exist in a shooter, and it's like. Well, it didn't really. It's magic.
No.
So it's like,
Like I did think those things while I was in the skill tree. I want to be fair. I did think all of that, but it feels like it goes out of the way the second I'm in a fight. And again, it's just this one. It's just like overstimulation and so much being thrown at you at once.
As the RPG sicko on the call, I know there are a few others, but as the glorified one who loves skill trees and loves abilities and loves cooldowns, it served no purpose here. I forgot to use half the special abilities unless I needed them because they were the right color for the right shield or whatever. Like, I like a good crunchy skill tree where I get to improve stuff, but like, it just never felt like it did anything. Also, because the weapons are so situational, like if an enemy's really far away, even in your lash can't reach them or they fly, then the shotgun, it doesn't matter how powerful it is. You can't use it. You can't reach them. Like, and that's also, I think, a big problem is like the weapons never felt powerful enough if you wanted to stick to one. I always had to switch instead of finding a weapon I like the super shotgun in Doom, and then mowing things down. This made you change it up, and I kind of hated that.
If you're not using color, like again, it doesn't matter how much points you've put into shotgun or how powerful it is. Like it's not doing anything against the blue barrier. Like it's gonna do nothing against the blue barrier unless you use the blue color.
Yeah, I mean there are good ways of doing that mechanic, right? Like Cyberpunk has this kind of setup where it's like you choose a path and you're kind of locked into that path at the beginning of the game where you're like, all right, I'm going to put stuff into these 3 different buckets and that's going to give me different outcomes, and you learn to play the game. But the difference is that A, Cyberpunk is like a 50-hour RPG versus this game, and B, because of it's more flexible, right? You're not forced to be like, oh, well, you didn't become an edge runner, so you just can't do anything in this game. It's like that's not how that functions, right? It's like you learn to balance what you go into, and this just doesn't use that with the gameplay in a way that makes it feel good.
Yeah,
in the same way.
You may touch on this as we talk about our final thoughts, Matt, but we've all kind of touched on it too, that this game felt like it needed more space. It needed more time to cook. Do you think you would have wanted this to be a longer experience if this was like a 40-hour game to give it the room? Or is that just
not if the writing didn't get better? Like, and I can push through cheesy writing and B-movie stuff. I love my fair share of goofy B-movie actual movies, but I think the problem here is more wouldn't have been better. Like I honestly think this game should have been shorter and cut out the middle. Like Kai has said several times, and I agree, the end was strong and the beginning was strong.
Just have those two parts come together.
I mean, if they pulled out some of the middle, made this a 5 to 8 hour game, and like that you could push through and really see the like kind of broad scope of this world. But then also the problem is that this game suffers from another thing I hate, which is the need to push open world. This didn't need to be open world. This should have been stage by stage. I never went back. I never went back anywhere except where the mission told me to go. Never.
Yeah.
There's just
I didn't stray at all.
Yeah.
And I think the more I've thought about it as we've played, what I actually would want is I would want this to be like a 2-game IP. I would want like game 1 to finish when Sandrakk gets the final font,
and then
have the second one pick up with Jack and Luna reunited in Seren and kind of go from there, and then have each game be like 10 hours. I think. The only reason I'm kind of saying that, and it might be something that's like I've told you boys behind the scenes, like I'm like doing my first homebrew D&D campaign. And the thing that I've kind of learned is the first time where I've not just like created a story, but I'm trying to tackle the background and the moving pieces in the background and everything. And like when you're building it for this kind of level, because this isn't just like Rashan versus
no, this is deep.
There's a lot going on. There's the history of the Pentasar. There's like everything to do with Thaddeus and why Thaddeus left. Like you're talking about an Everwar that's been going on for thousands of years. Like I feel almost like it's too condensed. I feel like it would be better split, elongate each of them, have like 2 10-hour games, and really kind of get to the nitty gritty of like, this is why the Everwars happened. This is what the Pentasar is about and what the Shrouded Realm is, and kind of get into it.
For sure. And I mentioned this in our last episode that I didn't record. I don't remember which one.
You were on the last one.
Okay, the one that I didn't record is what I sent to you guys, which is they tried to do 2 things here, which is they tried to make the story of a 50-hour RPG, and I used, like Outer Worlds as an example of like what it feels like. They tried to take the story of something that feels like a like not Dark Souls, but fucking what's the Elder Scrolls game? Skyrim. Like they tried to take a Skyrim, right? Where it's like expansive and there's a ton of lore and you can explore all these things and you can have these like ad hoc conversations with characters, but that takes a lot of time to do. And then they tried to pair that with the gameplay of something like a Halo or a Doom, which don't have good stories. Like they're fine, they're passable, but the thing that's good about those games,
Doom is not known for its story, dude.
I was talking about Halo.
But even Halo is not a good story. They're good games. You like them. You're nostalgic for them, but they're not like, oh my god, the story. I was crying at the end of. It's not The Last of Us, right? It's like they're there to serve the gameplay, and the gameplay is the main conceit, and it's a great loop, and it's interesting, and you're Master Chief, and you have the power fantasy, and that's great. But like, trying to fit those 2 things together where you're like all of this lore, all of this story, all of this what you want, exploration, and you want to understand these worlds, and trying to condense it down into a game where really it's just like it's a shooter ultimately. It's just like a bad pairing. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't give you the depth that you're looking for, and then it makes the fighting part erroneous because they have to add all of this additional context and all of these systems together in a way that it's like, well, that feels like it would be for a 50-hour RPG, right? Like the skill trees, the like upgrading things, all of this, like that feels like it's from a much larger game. And so I just don't think they balance that particularly well. No. And it doesn't do either of those things successfully.
I think that's the thing that's confusing is like somehow the game feels simultaneously bloated and also not long enough at the same time.
Correct.
Like,
it's got crazy. That's what this game has. It's big dad, but it's got a beer belly, but skinny at the same time. It's a weird balance. It's got an awkward.
I think either one would be fine. I think like if they kind of leaned into the gameplay and did like a 6-hour magical Doom, I would have liked it. And if they split it into like 2 10-hour games and went really lore heavy, I would have liked it. But
I love how we are so refusing to talk about the plot that we are doing our final thoughts now.
I know. I
don't want to talk about what happened.
I was sitting here waiting for my opening.
Mad. I don't want to talk about
I was sitting here waiting for my opening to continue the plot conversation.
Okay, so
all right, let's do it.
The plot of the Shrouded Realm is... Oh, go on, what?
I was going to say, well, the Shrouded one was, we talked about the Allori, right? The whole conceit of that is the Allori were the secret to not having a wound open up.
They're specifically the children of the Pentasod. The Pentasod created them for the sole purpose of recycling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Magic, it's humans, a balance.
Yeah, humans use magic.
They absorb magic.
Yeah.
And they put it back into the womb.
So they have to put it back into the shrouded realm.
Basically the trees of this world, right?
Yeah,
we breathe out magic, they breathe in, use magic.
And we cut all those fucking trees down.
Also, I liked this section.
Yes.
I know the battling was annoying and difficult, but the section where you're following the little floating orb thing and you're seeing the memories as you go through, I was like, that's cool. Like that is, you should have done this more.
And there were puzzle solving here. That was fun, right? Like,
and again, totally. I was like, yo, Rook, he's back. He's way more important than I thought.
I told Jared this is the beginning. I do not fundamentally understand why Rook is the only Allori that can speak English. It just seems very convenient.
It's because he's the firstborn.
Like he's the firstborn.
It doesn't make sense though.
Doesn't answer anything. Nope.
The Pentasod made him speak.
Why
couldn't you make him speak?
Yeah. It would have been cooler if, because once again in Kai's plot corner, because they're Triarchs, they have some special connection to the Pentasod, which allows them to communicate with the Allori more broadly.
Only they can talk to the Allori.
They have the Pentasod has blessed them both by being like, oh, you're a child of the Pentasod.
Would make sense if, when exposed to the ancient Aveum people, they couldn't understand them. These freaking demon guys are taking our magic from us.
And they were already questioning of Triarchs anyway, because they were viewed as like these like overly powerful, mages. They didn't do any of that, but that would have been cool.
I will say it was interesting to. I think it gave a bit of context as to like why Rook was so pissed off, because like not only was he annoyed that like the humans were supposed to live in harmony with the Allori, but also like he was given this like false promise that like Aveum is this beautiful world and they're going to exist in harmony.
He was like, he lied to me. He told me these guys were really chill and they attacked us when we got here.
He got daddy issues, bro. Like it's like
it's valid.
Yeah, it's valid.
I would be pissed too,
but I like this. I think Rook and the Allori being a larger part to the overall lore is a really cool addition to the story. And again, like Matt had said, brought me right back in. I was like, yes, I think this is cool. I think this is awesome for the narrative and everything too.
I will say, I know we're getting towards the end of the plot for the Shrouded Realm. No, I wanted to talk about the fight at the end, the Exalted Archon or whatever it was.
I don't like the big laser guys. I just said that. I don't like it.
I don't normally like them, but I think I liked this because it forced me to use verticality, right? Like it forced me to use the whip to get high up, and then it gave me like enough of the Dominion power or whatever. So
I was like, you just pop your ult. You just do that. You just do the ult thing. You pop it and you're done. Like that's.
We did talk about this last time too, Matt, where we wished that they used more of the environment and especially the boss battles, where you like use the manipulation magic to bring things down on top of enemies rather than necessarily just like bullet hell firing at them. So
I mean, that's why the rock golem is interesting, because you have to like use
the best fight of this game.
And like I agree,
the best fight of the game is that one.
And then the Archons, like I also hate though that the Archon was a boss, and then they were regular enemies, and then there was an exalted Archon that was a boss again. But again, the verticality here was interesting. The fact that you could use your ult all the time. Plus, tell me you're an Overwatch player without telling me you're an Overwatch player. Let me keep saying ult.
Absolutely.
But like, and so I do like that, and I do like the Kamehameha. Like I'm a simple person, right? You give me a Kamehameha, I'm gonna like a Kamehameha. But like
Magic Cobra.
Yeah, but it's just this fight was fine, but at this point I'm so tired of the game. And then like we'll get to it, but like the final boss of this game, I just like we've done that fight 2.5 or 1.5 times before. It's like why are we doing this again? I don't know. This one was fine.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Friendship, baby.
I forgot this ends with us being dropped in Rook's lap, basically, doesn't it? Like
it does.
Yep. He shows up. We try to convince them that we are good and that they could help us and everything. We do eventually convince the Allori and all of them to come to the final fight.
It's the Pentasod that puts us there, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They tell him into Rook's lab to be like...
This is interesting because now we're trying to convince the people that have seen the Allori as evil for so long that they are good and they're going to help us. Most people are on board except for Kirkin, and Kirkin never comes around. And it's interesting because that is Kirkin's personality. But we just saw Kirkin be like, actually, I'm going to be chill with Sandrakk now, and let's just do this.
Well, also, it's confusing because Rook says this thing where he's like, we haven't interfaced with humans in 3,000 years, right? Like, so no one remembers the Alluri.
Yeah.
So there is no
Alluri, but
there's no ill will towards this thing that no one remembers existing. So it's like,
yeah, but I mean,
if
we want to draw like, you know, real world fucking analogs, like there are so many people here in the UK that like have no like input into like anything to do with the rest of the world. Or,
okay, but context in the world of Aveum, they have been living in an Everwar endlessly. Everyone dies all the time. The least of their worries is a thing that happens in one small little part that they have no input to.
I think it's become just like scary like wives' tales, because even like Devin talks about like, oh, you have to go through that place. That's where the magic, what are they called? The magic
eaters.
Magic eaters are. Like Zendara knows about the magic. Like people know about the magic eaters and they're down there and to avoid them. And that's kind of the conceit right now, is like, and don't go down there. It's scary.
They're just the boogeyman of the Immortals, right? Like they're the creatures that can stop the Immortals from doing the one thing that they can do, which is use magic.
That's
valid.
So I was just gonna move us on here. So the next section is going against. What's up?
Can we talk about Zendara putting Kirkin in her place?
This is the best moment of the entire game. Like, so I'm a Zendara defender. I love her as a character. She's not well written because most of the characters aren't, but I adore this character. I love a muscle mommy. I will be completely frank, but also I just think she gets some of the most fun and stupidest lines. But to watch her stand up for Jack here and put Kirkin in her place is the emotional crux of stuff that I've wanted the whole game. I felt something here. I felt proud. I felt like, oh man, she's standing up for me. Like there was a emotional connection here that is devoid through 90% of the game. And it's why I love this moment so much.
I think the thing that's interesting as well is because like Kirkin is trying to pull rank here, right? Kirkin is saying like this is what the Immortals are doing, and Zendara's like, hang on, like you're on my turf, like I'm the queen of this land.
Like, you have to do what I say.
I think it was interesting because it kind of the whole game prior was about like military rank, right? There was that whole scene where like Zendara got fucking ripped a new one because of Jack's actions, and like even though she had nothing to do with it. So to kind of set that up beforehand and then have Zendara go against that when that was all she knew was like military rank and like not sort of like talking down to your superiors, to have her put Kirkin in her place, regardless of like how Kirkin reacted and stuff. Like I liked that for Zendara as like a character, and I think like to agree with Matt, like this was like the emotional pinnacle of this game. Like this was the best that this game got, was this interaction between Zendara and Kirkin.
I do really like, because I agree with both of you that this is kind of the most that I felt anything with these characters throughout most of the game. I do like Rook, as always, being the comedic relief, and he was like, you know, bullshit like this is why I live in a cave. Like talking about the interaction between both of them, and I was like, that's fine.
And then the other crazy, like all of a sudden the Alluri grow wings. Just like out of fucking nowhere, they just grow wings.
It's the Star Wars. Like, they can fly now. Yes, they can fly now.
This is also where we get my favorite line of this entire game, which is bonus freedom. When Zendara offers the Alluri, and she's like,
he's like, bonus freedom.
You get the Force. He's like, we would have done it for nothing, but I'll take the bonus freedom.
I mean, Rook has some of the best writing in the entire game, mostly because I can't believe what they make him say, and I think I love it more because of that.
It's very interesting to see like this scene here with like the bonus freedom versus like him asking Jack for a cigarette. When they first
the cigarette thing.
So good.
It's not even like a magical cigarette. It's just like a Marlboro cigarette.
Yeah, it's
so weird. Where you're like,
it's so weird. Well, that's
what world are we in right now?
Well, that's the focus of the thing I was complaining about before. It wants to try and feel like our world by inserting these things and making references to things that exist in our world, but it's not. It's Avium. It's not Earth.
They should have just done a fucking Death Stranding and got a
Monster Energy drink and just like do that. Well, I mean, like that moment we like understand, right? Like Rook is like, oh, I'm so stressed and done with this bullshit. I need like something to relax myself, and the asking for a cigarette is that, and I think we can all understand that. But you're right. It's like that's a real life thing that you're now putting in a
Gandalf pipe. Give him some magical cocaine or something. Jesus Christ.
Well, it's also like the scene with Thaddeus where he offers Jack coffee, and Jack's like, "What's coffee?" Yeah. First of all, kill me. If I live in a world where there's no coffee, forget it. I'm done. But also, it's like, it's just the world both does have and doesn't have archaic thing. Like, yeah, there's no lore Bible logic to most of the game.
Well, when they show up and fucking, because they're on the ship and Sandrakk is trying to convince Kirkin and Jack to join the thing, he's like, "I've brought this thing from the past back," and it's just like the fish on a plate, and you're like, "This wasn't needed. This isn't funny. It's not. It doesn't."
No, I think what they were trying to do there that didn't really land was like, I think they were trying to prove, because like his whole point is like he brought it back from extinction. Yes. So I don't know if he's trying to prove like how powerful he is to Jack.
Which is hilarious, like thing of just like bringing it back from extinction and then killing it and eating it.
Yeah, well, I think that was what it was supposed to be, was a dig at Kirkin, because Kirkin painted all of the things that had gone extinct, and he was like, "Not only am I so powerful that I can bring them back, but you're going to eat it in front of me. This thing that you have been obsessed with," which is like, it's a good dig, but it was presented in a weird way, and it was presented in jest, which was like, okay, what's going on?
So this is
gloss over it.
Yeah,
this is now the final stretch. This is the
This was the hardest part of the game to me, was the Maldar. This ship fight is awful.
So the ship fight's awful, but the scene where you're approaching the ship, awesome. Like, again, this game is full of these awesome, pretty graphical set pieces that often are non sequiturs or
I was deeply disappointed I didn't get to fly a ship in this game.
Me too. Yes. It felt right.
Especially in this section. Right. I thought it was going to happen. Yeah. There was a lot of setting up.
Speaking of ships, I wasn't on the episode, so couldn't shout it out there, but the mech, everything with the mech was awesome. Running around on the outside of it, running through the inside of it, it first showing up. Like, everything with the mech, there's no reason for it. There was less than zero reason for it, but it was awesome.
My question about the mech, the only criticism I had is, why did they build a bunch of decks on the outside of the mech?
Correct. We're still doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Made zero sense.
We should have been able to actually pilot the mech ourselves.
Yeah, we just recently Prime or something. Like,
we just recently battle. Yes, we just recently got a new gameplay for Gen Atlas, which is the new Shadow of the Colossus creator game, and there's a whole like thing where they're doing giant mech battle fights, and I'm like, this is what I would have wanted from this. Give me giant mech battle fights.
Well, the Sandrakk in a fucking like Power Ranger Megazord.
Sandrakk is riding the Pentasade. He's taking him over, and we're in whatever the hell we're in.
He's right. You know what? And we're
a lot of this game gives Power Rangers. Like, a lot of this game is giving Power Rangers for sure, with like the Allori and like the colored like characters and everything.
It was so weird because like we were doing this ship thing, and like I don't know why, but I remember watching a lot of Stargate SG-1 when I was a kid, and I remember like I was like, this is just giving me big fucking like Stargate flashbacks. Like,
it does. I think it's the design of the ships, and then also like Stargate is always like, it's sci-fi, but it's not. You're going to other worlds, and it's normal for them. And Avium has a lot of that. Like, things that seem fantastical to us are normal for Avium. Also, they never explain the delineation between magic and technology, which is fine. I love that argument that like magic is just technology we don't understand, but there is also actual magic in this world. So like, where's the line there?
Yes. Yeah. Why do you need conveyor belt elevators when you have magic with ships that can fly around?
or even when you're on the what's the main hub with all the names of the dead people? When you're there, everyone's floating. Everyone's floating around. Everyone's just floating.
But nope. But we still need, and then you have to ride ley lines, even though you can fly. It's very confusing. There's a lot of conflicting mechanics of the world that you're just like, we're gonna push those over. Anyway, back to the
Maladar is, if I understand rightly, is like the wound that is opening up around the bottom of the Pentasade.
Yes,
that is basically going to swallow both worlds and destroy it.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. And Sandrakk has successfully pulled out the Pentasade from the Shrouded Realm, and they are trying to attack and absorb it.
And those set pieces were awesome. While
really cool.
While the combat was mostly awful at this point. Anytime I came out of the ship and saw the Pentasod reeling and like the magic rings, the like Doctor Strange ass looking stuff all around him, that all looked awesome. And then I would have to do another fight or platforming that I didn't want to do.
They do scale here in a great way. Like I have this reminded me of in Breath of the Wild when you do some of the big oh my god, I'm blanking on what they're called. Like the champion fights. Titans. What are they? They have a name, and I don't know what the name of them is called. Kai, help me, please. But anyways, there's one of them where you're flying a bird. You can kind of see outside, like as you're doing
Divine Beasts.
Divine Beasts. Thank you.
Yeah.
As you're going and doing any of the Divine Beasts, at any point you could walk out and you could see the world happening in real time, and it really gives you the scale of this giant thing that you're in, and walking out of the ship and seeing the Pentasod and how big the Pentasod is compared to everything else is like, this is some badass. Like that is cool. It is cool how they play with scale here.
It was really fucking cool.
But you go back inside and fight, and then you're like,
then we have to fight Sandrakk again.
Yes.
Did you guys have any specific struggles with any fights leading up to Sandrakk? Because there was
every single one of them.
All of them.
There was
the
one
blue
in
mage.
particular-
Every time I had to fight one of the blue mages with the sniper bolts, you have to destroy the shield. They just suck.
There's one.
I thought we were just gonna do one of them because it had the like
health
thing
bar.
at the top, and I was like, that's one. I can handle that. And then you just go into another one directly after that, and I'm like,
There's a section where you're in an enclosed room, and there's like, I think, boats or escape pods or something that are on the side, and you fight two red magnets in here, and I like ran out of health, so I did circles just slowly chipping away of them for like way too long. It was like 30 minutes or something.
Gotta
That
get them health crystals,
run, shoot, run.
Well,
the limit to the health crystals and the magic crystals, like you can upgrade it once for one extra. Like scrap the entire skill tree. Just let me have 10 health crystals. Seriously, like it made no sense.
It's so weird because it felt, I guess what I would compare it to is like, you know, that bit in like Super Mario RPG right before the end when you have the boss rush and it's just like a resource drain. It kind of felt like a resource drain, but then after every fight, it gave us enough resources to get back to where we was. And I was kind of like, why are we doing it? Like, why not just have like the army that Zendara is leading? Kind of like picking off. Like this was actually done really, really well on that mech, where there were like fights that were happening, and you could intervene with them, or you could just run past them. And like not having. And they done this, I think, with the Palathon as well, where it was like locked areas, and you couldn't progress until every single enemy was dead.
The worst. And also, like, I don't understand why every battle arena is littered with crystals, but you can only have a max of 4 crystals. But if you just didn't have a max of 4 crystals and littered the battlefield with crystals, you could pick up all the crystals, and then you wouldn't have to keep hunting for crystals. Like the mechanical layout doesn't make sense. Like because all I would do is when I got down to 1 health crystal, I would stop fighting and just start scrambling to find more crystals.
That's what I should be able to craft. If I'm going to craft anything, I should craft health crystals and mana crystals and like be able to deposit old weapons and use their magic to create something.
I will say I can't tell you how many times like a battle finished and it's like the layout of after the battle, and there's just like crystals everywhere that I can't use.
It would have been better to do just like instead of crafting, just give me a resource bar that fills up like 1 point every crystal you get. Just put crystals
like your health.
everywhere.
Your overall health does that. If you do any kind of like the optional stuff, you get like an addition to your health.
Yeah, but like, you know, instead of it being like you have to use it because like first of all I forget to use it and then I die and then I'm sad. But then it just like as you're going around, it continually like restores your mana and health as you kill enemies. Here's the problem. There's already enough to visually look at in this fucking game without me having to remember to do like 9 other things at a time and be like, oh, I have to use my little weird floating green thing at the same time to slow the enemies down while shooting. And it's like, I just want to shoot, bro. Like too many things going on. Visually.
And y'all, I was like, we called it because leading up to the Sandrakk fight, guess who comes back? Luna was like, I'm done. I'm cleaning my hands with this amount.
There was no way she wasn't coming back.
Yeah, no, it was the obvious answer.
Back. Yeah, of course she's coming back.
This Sandrakk fight sucked.
Correct.
Big fucking time.
Well, I mean, the first one sucked too, so it was inevitable that this one would suck also.
This is what I was going to say, though, is like, this one's almost like an extra hard... This is like being kicked in the nuts, and then like while you're still on the floor, somebody kicking you in the nuts again.
Yeah, because the Pentasod also attacks you.
Yeah, and also like the boss fight is no different. Like we're doing the exact same mechanics as we did in the Pacific Rim fight in the ocean, as we're doing now. Like he puts up a green shield, and you're like, cool, I'll just shoot green magic, and then
it sucks, but I think it's. For me, it feels like the best use of juggling these three things, right? And having all of your abilities and having to switch them on the fly.
Of course,
I can see. I can
spirit bomb thing he does that like shoots off the homing green fins.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. And also like you can't protect yourself well. Like whenever he would switch to the red shield and it was the melee stuff, which I love. I think that's a great idea. It's a more aggressive magic. But like you can't block, like you can put your shield up, it shatters immediately, but you can't block it if he does it more than once, and it does more than half your health. That's the other thing. I was playing on the easiest difficulty the entire game, and I never felt like it was easier because like anytime you fight Sandrakk, he can do your entire health bar in one hit. And it's like, I get that they want it to be a challenge, and that's fine, but like make him do half your health bar, a third of it. I'm bad at this game. He's gonna hit me again. Like it's just it never felt like with the regular enemies, it felt like you didn't take much damage, but the boss fights were not tweaked based on the difficulty selection. And I hated like because also it gets to a point where you're not even using the guns anymore. You're using the colored abilities based on because the seismic attack that you do, that's the blue magic, which is one of my favorites. Like it like destroys half his shield. So I just spam that until he flies off again. Also, they penalize you for not dodging enough, and the dodge isn't intuitive enough.
The dodge is the worst part. Dodge is the worst part.
I could not dodge because he does the same attacks back to you, right? Like he does that blue fucking spike attack. I could not dodge that for love nor money. So I just had to brute force it with my shield, let my shield explode, hit him with the spikes, and then try and get his shield to change and kind of hope that I survived. And that's really. And I mean, Luna comes and she does that shield thing that she did against Mount Bane or whatever his name was.
Morbane.
The Morbane fight was okay. Like that one, like he was aggressive, but you could get away. Like that one felt like a normal-ish kind of shooter boss fight. That one didn't feel as bad. But this Sandrakk fight, I think also the fact that it's the exact same fight again, except now you also have to hide behind her shield sometime. Like, why didn't they make it different? Make him more aggressive. Maybe he has more health, but doesn't have the shields anymore. And like you have to use certain kinds of magic because he's phased into like, I don't know. It's just repeating a boss fight doesn't make sense to me.
Especially because like we're fighting peak Sandrakk at this point. Like he wasn't he had Binding Stone, but he didn't have all the fonts before. Like he has more fonts, he's stronger. Like
Final form
you don't have to just be like, oh, he's gonna do more damage to you as an indicator that he's stronger. You can just kind of mix up the gameplay into forcing you to kind of do something different. We brought it up multiple times, environmental aspects and having to utilize the environment also in the boss fight could have helped here of just like differentiating it from the Pacific Rim fight as Ben has deemed it.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like if you have a clearly, and they do this shit in Marvel movies all the time too, where it's like you have a clearly overpowered enemy that is just like impossible, and then you just have to kind of find your way out of it. But that, like to your point, the Pentasod is right there. That seems like a good option to use.
This would have been...
You could have used everyone on the team. That would have been good. Like
this is what I was going to say. This was the perfect moment for like an Avengers Assemble.
Like
right?
Everyone comes in and blasts Sandrakk.
Or even just Kirken. Like us and Kirken instead of us and Luna.
Big
and have
Kirken kind of
have Kirken kind of been like, I should never have backed him. This is like the wrong play, like, and kind of like a redemption arc in that way for Kirken.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's clear that I think we did all expect Luna to come back. Like,
yes,
I think Kirken is being set up to be the new villain if this ever got a sequel. Right? She was wronged by the Immortals and kicked out of the Immortals. She was wrong about Sandrakk. Like, I don't know if that's true, but that's the vibe I get because I thought for sure at the end, and we'll get to it, that she was going to show up and she doesn't. But this whole area and like. To that end, I do love the end of this fight. I love this cutscene. It's cheesy as shit, but like the 300 kick into the Pentasod.
I did love that.
Like I took the screenshot that I shared online of like when they zoom in on half of Jack's face as his eyes are lit up and his hair. It's a very Super Saiyan moment. Is it great? No, it's very cheesy, but like I thought it was a fun way to end the fight, but also was very goofy.
Here's my frustration.
Yeah,
with this whole end section.
Yeah.
So like, well, I'll get into that once because the next part is the wound is open and it's too late and it doesn't matter what the Alluri do, and Thaddeus and Luna and Jack are standing on the bridge in which they kicked in fucking Sandrakk, and then there's this dumbass conversation where Thaddeus is like, if you're gonna do it, just jump, and then Jack sacrifices himself essentially to close the wound because he's the immortal, and does that.
I have a quick question before you continue. Jack jumps in. Thaddeus is in his green like memory link thing with Jack. How are they talking to him? Because they comment on something Thaddeus says. Both Zendara and Luna that are there.
Don't think about it. Anyway, that's not even the problem with this end section. Okay. Here's what should have happened. Thaddeus has his whole character is that he left the Immortals to avoid being sacrificed, right? Yeah. And he's selfish in that way because the Immortals are theoretically throughout the story of this like a good in the world, right? And so what should have happened is Thaddeus should have tackled fucking Sandrakk to sacrifice them both to heal the wound because he has all of the magic from all of the fucking tomes and fucking shit that he's been collecting, and Thaddeus
immortals, right?
Thaddeus recognizes that Jack is going to become the new leader of the Immortals, that he's going to lead the Immortals into a better direction, and Luna is there, but instead of doing that, they're just like, oh, we'll just sacrifice Jack and then we'll just bring him back, because that's what happened. He literally, no one even mourns him. He just like walks back out and he's like, looks like it's nice to have the Pentasade as a friend, and it's like,
I mean,
you could have had that moment where it's like Thaddeus's character comes to an end where it's like the thing that he has been avoiding all of this time, the reason he abandoned the Immortals, then becomes him saving
the world,
Avium.
I mean, part of it is the reason Jack could do it is because he's an unforeseen, which Thaddeus is not. Like that was part of it. Like it would be more powerful if Jack did it because he's a max powered unforeseen, basically a magical bomb. But I agree. I think that would have been a nice closing arc to Thaddeus's arc, like especially since Thaddeus has been this kind of fatherly figure throughout the game, right? Like he's always calling him kid. He's always like trying to look out for him, showing up in moments to help. Like, but that would require them to have written character arcs, which they didn't for most.
Well, also like you could still have Jack try to sacrifice himself, and then Thaddeus stop him.
Stops
him.
Like,
no, totally. Like, but no, he's just like, all right, do it, kid. It's like, what are you talking about?
Crazy. There's a small moment. There was a small moment where I thought this might have been a very small part of me thought this might have been something, but I was kind of hoping that Jack was dead, like his sacrifice was like done something too, because then like, there's like something about like after
finally we don't have to deal with your shit anymore.
Not that, but there's something just about like after the world is done, it's just like, yes, this person, our character, made the ultimate sacrifice, and now we're here because of him, and like that has like an emotional attachment.
We're here because of him, and here he is,
Yeah, so
well, there should have been a post game where you could play as Zendara or as Luna, maybe, right, and let him be dead and like reckon with the world, especially since the post game is meant to be like you eradicating rogue Roshan agents. Like that would have been perfect for Luna to do.
Or sure, any of that, or just give us a nice end credit reveal of Jack being trapped in the fucking evil realm, and he's become bad and corrupted by the shadow realm. Like there's a million things you could do other than have him walk down the stairs 5 seconds after sacrificing himself. Like,
this was like the equivalent no, actually, no, I'm not gonna say that's just a spoiler for something, don't worry. Scrap that.
All right.
Redacted. It was, I was hoping he would have been dead, and maybe that's just because my draw of wanting some kind of emotional attachment to anybody, because if he was dead, then I can like I feel that like the sacrifice
would have felt heavy.
Yes, even in the moment when he's like even not wanting to like say anything to Luna because he's like, oh, I know she hates goodbye, so I'm just gonna jump off this. I'm like, that's an emotional charged moment.
It's also a very mature decision for a very immature character to make.
Yes.
And I think that's the kind of the staying point is like, even though he's very immature. Yeah, exactly. Like even though he's immature and he kind of is doing this whole thing, like he knows that there is something he has to do, and it's kind of it's the chosen one and he has to do it and blah blah blah. But
and then they immediately even to that point, right? Like, okay, let's benefit of the doubt. Let's say that's true. It's his arc. He comes out of it, And then immediately they're like, maybe I can be the new like person. And they're having this dumbass fucking end conversation between Zendara being like,
made me so angry. Like the moment where he first comes back out and they share a moment, that was fine. That was fun. But then to have them walking off into the distance, constantly bickering, like, what was this writing? Like, and I like cheesy, goofy writing, but there was nothing here. What should have happened is, like Kai said, Jack should have sacrificed himself. We should have shown them without him, figuring out what's next, and the game should have ended. And then if they want to do a post-credit scene where Jack is fine, he shows up, they bicker a little, and then you play the post-game. But the fact that the game ends with this walk-off with the two of them,
the last thing that we see before credits. It's
just so dumb, and it ruins any credibilities and Dara build. Like, her arc at the end of this game is really awesome. She becomes the princess. She's the princess. She's going to become the queen. She's now the leader of the Immortals. She's showing this maturity and this growth. She's starting to like Jack. Like, all of that was great, and then this whole walk-off scene just undoes all of it.
If you're gonna have done any of this, like, just have him be like, oh, maybe I can be, and then she's just like, initiate, shut up. Like,
you know, would have been funny too, or like if there was like one moment like that, if they're walking away and Zendar like pushes him or something, and he like falls off like the edge of the ledgers, or like something like that, where it's like a silly moment like that. Where
like they were trying to be funny, but none of that was funny.
Yeah, and again, like I said, that is the last scene that we get before the credits end, and then we roll credits on Immortals of Aveum. What an adventure! What a moment! What's really interesting is I came into this conversation already knowing what my rating was going to be for this game, and after talking to you, I think it's changed. I think my opinion has changed a little.
His rating has gone up. Great job, guys.
It's gone up. 9 out of 10, baby. So I'll just sit and you know, contextualize what I am actually thinking, because like Matt said, it's really like great. There's things that I loved, and there's things that just really just like the lows were really low. But Kai, we are going to start with you for your final thoughts.
That's smart. Yeah.
On Immortals of Aveum, how did you feel? Summation.
Yeah, it's not good, but I will say this.
That's not surprising.
There is. Look, we to do the caveat I always do. I obviously care more about plot and story than the majority of people. I have a lot of opinions. Things bother me that don't bother other people. You know, that and that's me. This is my opinion. I get that. I understand playing a game for the gameplay rather than the story. I have enjoyed games like Doom. I've enjoyed games like Halo. There are good games that have no story that are just fun to play. Those are not ruined by their story, though, right? Like they're out of the way. They're in the background. They're happening if you want it there, but it's not the main focus. This did make the story the main focus, and then it didn't deliver. And that's the problem. Do I think that the gameplay is interesting? Do I think the idea of a first-person shooter with magic is an interesting conceit? Absolutely. Do I think they did that in a way that is beneficial or interesting or takes you in and makes you want to play more of it? Not necessarily. I think at the beginning, it's like, oh, this is cool. Like, I get this. I know how this system works. Like, I've played FPSs enough. But then it gets old. And then they just keep throwing you into the same situation over and over again where you feel like you're not growing or progressing. And it's just harder and harder and harder. And maybe that becomes a little easier if you have a story that is helping you like guide through that process and engage you in what's happening in the world and make you feel like you're making progress. But without either of those things, it just becomes a slog to get through. And as I mentioned, they clearly knew where they wanted the game to start and where they wanted the game to end, which is a classic mistake that a lot of writers make, which is that they have a beginning and an end and they have to get somewhere to get to that end. And then they just kind of like try to connect things as best as they can. And it ends up being messy and badly paced. And you have a lot of compression at the beginning, at the end of what you're trying to tell. And so that's clearly what happened here. And also, I think a lot of the gameplay designers on this wanted this to be difficult. Like, I think there was an aspect of this where they're like, oh, we want a challenge. We want it to be something that, you know, people struggle with a little bit and they like have to like learn and get better at. And that's fine. That's valid. Like, Dark Souls exists for that exact purpose, for someone who loves that challenge, loves the grind, wants to do the same boss fight 9 times. This is not the kind of game where you want that to be the case. And it also doesn't really make sense in the context of who I think they were targeting this game to, because I don't think those gamers really want that experience either. It's not serious enough to be a Dark Souls. It's not like dark and brooding enough and challenging enough to live in that kind of space where people are interested in that. It has a camp funny humor, lightness to it that seems very approachable, I think, to a lot of people. And it seemed more like they were targeting just a general video game audience, which I don't think as much would appreciate that kind of gameplay of being consistently challenged. And they're just going to get bored of trying to grind it out and eventually fall off of the game. As we said, the story is weird in the fact that it feels like it's something that should be part of a much larger game in itself, something like a 50-hour RPG where you can explore, where you have dialogue, where you build relationships. And they tried to condense that down in a way that just ultimately didn't end up connecting with the type of game that they were making. And I think more broadly, just with the story they were trying to tell, right? So unfortunately, sometimes games are panned and not good because of some cultural wrong that they've committed. In this case, it's just because the game itself was not good and not enjoyable for a lot of people, and also released in a period where there's a lot of high fantasy, some good, some bad, a lot of it mediocre. And so, yeah, I'm going to give this game a lovely 4 out of 10. I wouldn't recommend really anyone play this. I think there's better versions of this in better stories, better gameplay. If you want shooting and magic, go play High Guard. At least you can play that with friends and you don't have to suffer through it alone. So, and that's not a very good game either. I'm not saying that it's better or worse. It's just kind of the itch that you need to scratch, and you can do it with a friend, which is always better. So those are my thoughts, feelings, opinions. If you love this game, fascinating. I'm just so happy for you that you found the thing that you're into, but definitely not my thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Ben, how are you feeling about this game? Immortals of Aveum?
Conflicted, I think, is kind of like the one word summation. I think, kind of like to Kai's point, like there are a lot of moments where I think, oh wow, this is doing something like actually quite cool. Like everything with Zendara standing up to Kirk, and like we said, the whatever it was called, the Exalted Construct or whatever that boss fight was, with the different stones where you had to use different magic to defeat the construct, I thought was a cool idea. This has one of the craziest difficulty spikes I think I've ever played in any video game ever. Like the difficulty spike in this, I can't pinpoint where it went, but it just kind of jumped from like 40 to 100 in the course of like one chapter. I think along this episode, I've kind of been saying a lot of my thoughts, like Kai said, about how I feel like this was part of a bigger world, and I feel like it was something that maybe should have been expanded on. And I don't know if the vision they had for Immortals of Aveum was as it was done from the get-go, or if they planned and was basically like told, let's see how we get on, let's not plan for a whole IP, let's kind of release one game and see how we go. If I'm scoring this out of 10, I feel like I would give this like a 5. I feel like this is like the textbook definition of a mid game, right? This
Jared
is
just
like
scratching off the number 7, turning it into a 6, scratching off 6, turning it into a 5, slowly.
I feel like the moments that I loved about this game were, one, not emotionally enough hard hitting for me personally, and were so far and few between that it kind of detracted away from the overall experience. Like the moments that the game does shine, it really, really shines, but they are so far and few between. The dialogue is not great. It's awfully written at times. The Alluri kind of felt like just a last minute addition to the game. It's kind of like, how are we going to do something? I like the idea that they had for it, but everything felt kind of rushed, and that's the overall feeling I have of the game. I would still say that some people should play it. Like it's not long enough to the point where it's like egregious, and you're not gonna feel that it overstays its welcome. But I wouldn't say that it necessarily needs to be high up on your to play priority.
Yeah, awesome. So I went into this. I was gonna give this a enthusiastic 7 out of 10.
Great.
That was my initial thought process, is an enthusiastic 7 out of 10, because I've said this on the podcast before, and people that have listened know me, that I'm someone that is very much like, if you tell me something in a game, I roll with it. Like, I just roll with it. I don't ask very many questions. I can live in this world. Even I had a hard time suspending disbelief at some of these moments. Even me, who is very easily entertained, had questions and was like, huh? What? So, yeah, I think gameplay wise, this is fundamentally my shit. I've talked about lots of things that I really love. I also didn't think this needs to be a full open world, but I think the pseudo open world they did, I did like. After I rolled credits, I still went back. I collected more stuff. I did some of the harder, like shroud frame things or whatever to try to beat some of those.
You
bosses.
did some of the 6 fights?
Yeah, I beat one of them, and I almost beat the second one. But I did go back and do some of the 6 fights, which were hard. They're so fucking hard. They are difficult. But I also like Dark Souls. Like, I like the hard games. I like difficulty. I like doing boss fights over and over again. Like, that's the niche that I get into, that little grindy mentality, which I think this game. I appreciate it. So yeah, I think the gameplay wise, I loved it. I like number goes up, even though now, and like Ben said too, I finished this game last week when we had wrapped up our last recording. So I'd been away from the conversation, away from the game for a while. But as I sat down to talk to you guys, I was like, oh yeah, a lot of these things really suck. Like, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the like skill tree stuff, I realized after doing it that I'm like, yeah, I guess it didn't really actually have a lot of impact to the moment to moment gameplay. But I think the story is the biggest letdown. Right. I mean, I can go into these games and just have fun with the gameplay, which I did. I think the colored gameplay and the colored mechanics is fun and interesting. At some points, it gets a little overwhelming because of just the amount of things they throw at you. And the story was, and the world was like, it pulled me in. It was interesting at first, but then it kind of just like, it fell off. And they just, again, like we talked about, didn't really know how to connect a lot of these questions and a lot of the connective tissue here. And it just fell off. And I think that's probably the biggest hit for me is some of these story moments that could have been so cool. And they keep like the Allori popping up is cool. Zendara going against Kirkin is cool. And they had so many moments like that would grip us in, and it just fell off after that. So I'm going to give Immortals of Aveum a slightly less enthused 6 out of 10 is my review for this game.
What is that? What did you give it, Kai?
4.
4, 5, 6 is what we have.
So a 5 out of 10.
Okay,
wow.
that's our medium review. Matt, I'm going to send it over to you. Again, you don't have to give a numbered review if you don't want to, and you could do half steps. There's no rules for the guests. You could do whatever you want here.
So, I mean, I agree basically with everything that's been said. I think,
yeah,
I started the game loving the combat, thought it was interesting. I thought, it's the same arc, like, and then eventually got overwhelming, and like the secondary weapons and the special abilities became kind of useless. They at some point give you my favorite kind of special ability, which is a overpowered melee attack, and it was absolutely useless.
Love that.
It's like it was a cool idea to give you this dash where you punch and do a bunch of damage, but it was so hard to use. Most of the enemies fly. What's the point then? So like, I don't know. like it I loved the world. I really loved this world. Something we haven't spoken too much in our wrap-ups, but graphically, this is a gorgeous looking game, and it's so well designed vibe-wise. Like the areas you're in, all of the areas you're traversing, like the biggest problem with a lot of shooters for many years is the brown and green effect, right? That everything looks the same. Cannot say that about this game. Yeah. But it's not enough. And I think that on top of it, the writing, look, like Jared, I can tolerate mediocre writing if the overall story is entertaining. But like again, that final scene of Zendara and Jack walking off is a perfect example of where this game struggles, where it can't even do banter well. Like it just like that's the base level thing you have to do in a video game with characters, is have good banter. Good banter can save a lot of stories. But like, and the biggest thing that we've not talked about at all this episode, and I don't even know if you've talked about it in the other episodes, the music is like, there's just nothing to it, and that's a bummer. I'm a music nerd, so I can go out of my way to find music I love. Like, I couldn't even recall the main theme on the main menu of this game gun to my
It's
head.
let us tell you, we haven't talked about it. We would have never talked about it because I didn't even notice music existed.
Yeah,
Which is maybe a good thing, because there's games where I've noticed the music and I'm like, this is particularly bad. So at least it didn't do that insanely poorly. But you are correct that it is incredibly unmemorable.
It is very sweeping fantasy style music that, like, sure, if you wanted to fill the background, but for me, music enhanced gameplay and moments for me. It shouldn't like be non-existent. It's not distracting, to Kai's point, which is also a good thing, I guess, but like not a mark of quality either per se. And so I think part of that problem for me is like the things that I look for most in games failed here. Like Kai, I tend to lean more into story than gameplay. I've played games with mediocre gameplay to see great stories. It is rare that I go the other way, and I felt it. Now, I played like 6 hours straight yesterday to finish up, and that also probably not a great choice. But like, I wanted to like this game. I don't know that I would say that I don't think other people should play it. I think people should play flawed games like this, but I don't think you should pay a lot of money to
don't
play
pay full price for this.
No, like I got it for $5, and I think I still got $5 worth of entertainment out of this. But to that end, though, I don't think I would recommend it to anybody. Like, if you're curious, if what we've complained about, like a bad movie, makes you curious and you want to check it out, then I think go with God, do it. But like, I go with the Pentasod, because who cares?
There you
go with the Pentasod. But
there
like, there's not a lot to recommend here, and I'm really bummed because like I want different shooters. The reason I like Doom, the reason I like Halo, is because they're not military shooters. Because most people just want to make military shooters. Like, there's a game coming out, I think it's called Exodus, that people are ragging on because it looks like Mass Effect, and I'm like, good. Nobody's making that anymore. Right. Yeah. And so like, I don't know, like if we ever got a sequel, would I play it? I'd be curious, but I mean, we're not. The studio laid off most of their staff. Their current staff is on furlough. They've been since 2024, I think. So like, I just don't think we're ever going to see anything in this world. But like, I also would love if we got a different kind of game in this world. Like, I think Aveum is the kind of world that's ripe for different genres in the same location that not a lot of game series do. But ultimately, it was a huge disappointment, and I was completely conflicted through the whole time. It's gorgeous. The high moments are really high, but there's so few far between, and there were so many lows, especially within the middle 15 hours, that like, it's just like, it's hard to wholeheartedly recommend this to anyone. It's even impossible to half-heartedly recommend it to anyone. So I think I'm more in line with Ben that this is like a middle of the road, barely worth playing game at a 5, and that's low for me. Like I can find the good in a lot of stuff. I can dig, but like this game, like it broke me a point. The first Sandrakk fight in the Pacific Rim, as we've been saying, took 15 attempts. No exaggeration. Like I almost wrote Jared.
I can't do this, man.
I can't do it. I can't get to the end of the game. But I put it down, came back to the next day, and figured it out. And after like 3 or 4 more attempts, finally did it. But like, I wanted to like this game, and when I know a game is reportedly not great, I go in more eager to like it because I want to find the good in these things, and there's not here. I think Immortals of Aveum tried too much at once and was too concerned with being a different kind of shooter, telling a different kind of story, and being a new property. And I think because they didn't lean too much into building out the world and story more coherently, they failed the rest of it.
Yeah. To that point, and like to tie everything together, I think one thing that this game highlights the most is how impressive it is when someone can pull this shit off. Yes. Like this is a team made up of veteran devs who worked at some of the most successful studios on some of the most successful IPs. Everything should have been right. They had the money, they had the publisher, they had the marketing, they did everything that they should have done correctly, and at the end it's mediocre. And it's like, when it works, when there's a game that's just absolutely fantastic, when you get a fucking Uncharted 4, when you get a Last of Us, when you get a, Enter whatever, Dark Souls, like when you find that recipe that really does tie everything together in a way that like it just makes you appreciate how incredible and how good those things are and how many people it takes to do this shit. And like, obviously people getting furloughed, people getting laid off, that sucks. That's the state of the industry these days, that no one deserves that regardless of success or failure. But like playing these games, like, because we do a lot of the time, I think, default to playing either like really highly lauded indie games on our podcast or things that we know are going to be very interesting to talk about and good experiences. So we don't necessarily get to play a lot of the middle of the road unless it's like Shamekeep stuff, which is, you know, shitty things that came out in 2004.
It's intentionally playing bad games.
Very different time. But like that is one thing that like when playing through this kind of kept dawning on me is like, damn, I've played some versions of this that are really good, and that's impressive that those people could make it that good, because like this should have, by any metric of measurement and statistics, been something that's successful, and it just isn't. And maybe that's the reality of creative work, right? Is it's like, you know, it's all a risk ultimately at the end of the day. And best wishes to everyone who worked on this game. You know, I think obviously there are some good things here, but hopefully that next one is a big hit.
Immortals of Aveum 2, baby. It's gonna
not what I mean. Not at all what I'm talking about.
Not what Kai's talking about.
This IP can go live in the annals of death for all I fucking care. I never want to hear Jack with a K ever again. But you know.
What, you love Jack and Daxter? He has a K in his name.
Yeah, exactly. Bring that one back. You want to get me with the sequel?
That's the famous Jack I want to come back.
Jack. If I have to choose between a JAK that I want to bring back, that's the one that I want to save.
That's so funny. Well, everyone, that is Immortals of Aveum. That is our thoughts on the game. Really curious if anybody was playing along, your thoughts as well, because if anything, this game has sparked interesting conversation around not only the ideas that this game was trying to do, but like I said, I like the idea of just like, man, a lot of people work hard at these things, and when they can get it right and it works well, like that's awesome. Like it is so cool when we can do that. And I'm similar to Matt, where like you tell me something's bad and I'm like, well, I kind of want to play it now.
How bad is it?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm like, some of these have to be good, right? Some of these have to be.
They can't all be terrible.
They can't be all.
They can't all be Catwoman.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Exactly. So I think for me there is interest with that, and I think it's particularly impressive that people like me and Matt, who are pretty good at kind of like ignoring plot holes, are just like face in our hands, like what the hell is happening here?
Think about how many people this had to go through to get approved. Like there was an initial script pass. Ubisoft was looking at this and they're like, this banter, we love it. Brilliant. Great job, guys. We're gonna really like, so much had to go wrong for this to end up in the format that is, but it did. And in some way that's beautiful, I think, maybe. Hopefully.
A beautiful disaster, if you will.
Yes, that is what it is.
Beautiful disaster. Well, now I have to send it over to Ben, because we have to know what we're playing next. For the three of us, won't be for a long time.
Yeah,
4 of us, because I can wait also.
That's true.
It's going to be a fourth thing that he didn't mention to us at all.
I know, it's going to be new. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So Ben, I'm going to give you the floor. What are we doing next?
Yeah, so I've been talking to the no. I'm going with my original option, boys. Don't worry.
Okay.
I've been talking to the guys about games that I kind of wanted to play and what my next series were. And initially it was like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this. And then I was editing a previous episode of the podcast, and I said that actually a different game was going to be my game that I was going to play next. And then I realized, oh shit, actually no, there's another one that's coming. So, and
Jared, I can't.
At one point, we were going to be playing Esoteric Ebb. But now we're not.
Disappointed now.
No, that's fine. I just need other excuses to play it.
Yeah.
And the other game that I was potentially thinking about was, I forget the name, but it was the new game by the Disco devs.
Oh, Zero Parades.
Yeah,
Zero Parades.
Zero Parades, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I decided, you know what, I'm going to stick to my laurels, and I'm going to pick the game that I told the boys that I was going to initially pick. So we are going to be playing the 2026 release Replaced.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes.
So
I've played this already, so I don't have to play this one. I can just listen along.
Yeah, let's go.
This
no
is
homework for me.
One that's been on the radar for a while, and I think coming off the back of like playing the Drifter, I was really interested in playing another pixelated game. Looking into the story wise, like it is set in an alternate reality where nuclear bombs were detonated inside of the United States instead of Japan, and you play as Reach, which is basically an artificial intelligence that's been trapped in the human body of its creator, and it is like a pixelated action adventure game. Really interested to see it. The Wikipedia says that the combat is kind of like Batman Asylum. There's like symbols of like when you can counter and when you can parry and stuff like that. The only thing I know about this game is that it looks fucking gorgeous. Like every time I watch the gameplay trailer,
beautiful.
I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing. So yes, when we do come back, which I believe is 2 weeks time for those listening.
Yes.
But for us is like 2 months.
Yes.
we will be playing. Yeah, we will be playing Replaced.
Hell yes. Yeah. Awesome. It's got some of the best lighting I've seen in a video game. Full stop, and it's pixel art. Like, it's wild.
Oh, I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. If you're wanting to play along, Replaced is on, I think, just Xbox and Steam. I think those are the two places, just correct. PC and Xbox for the time being. So if you have one of those and you're wanting to play along, it's on there. Again, stay tuned. Look at any sales that are going up. I actually think I saw this game just a couple weeks ago. It was on 20% sale or something like that. Maybe it might have been its launch sale, but yeah, that is what we're going to be playing. It's about 10 hours, so it's not too bad. I think the we don't have the schedule as of now, but stay tuned to the socials, the Discord, all that's linked below to keep up with how we're going to be breaking down this next season.
Do you know what's really wild is like looking on the Wikipedia, apparently the people who made this game were like free mobile game devs, and this is like their first like game console video game.
That's crazy. Let's go. I'm excited for this. I'm so pumped. But yeah, like Ben said, we are taking a little summer break here. We're going to take the next 2 weeks off, so you won't hear from us again till September 1st, which is going to be the next new episode. We haven't taken like an actual break like that in ever. I think we may have missed an episode here and there, but we've in the 5 years we've been doing this pod, I don't think we've ever done like 2 weeks of no content.
I don't think we've ever. I think we've only ever like late released an episode.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever missed a week.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I guess we're due for a break. I guess we're due for a break. That first episode back is going to be interesting because the three of us wouldn't have sat down to talk in months, which is going to be exciting. The first episode back is going to be kind of like the three of us catching up, right? I'll talk about a lot of the baby. So if you don't want to hear baby talk, there's going to be a lot of that. Most likely, we all voice that we have like a backlog of games we're going to kind of check out in the interim between this while we don't have homework. We don't have any pod homework, guys. You could just eventually you got to play Replaced up to that episode eventually, but not for a while.
I have purchased Zero Parades, so I will also be playing that
interesting
during the time, despite we know fucking Zom controversy, blah blah blah.
I mean,
financial. Who fucking cares? It's gonna be a good game regardless. So
there's no winning in that. I still haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2 because of how they fucked over the devs at that time, and like nobody cares about that anymore. So like it's your personal battles. You can't win trying to get other people to fight your fights.
All of them are bad.
Yeah, they basically all suck.
All the businesses are bad. Just remember
all
that.
All of them are bad. Yeah, try to find some light and have fun with the art, I guess. Yeah. But Matt, thanks so much for coming on and honestly doing the hard work of playing through this. I know that there's a lot of like other things you were wanting to play, and going through a 6-hour grind yesterday of just this is a lot of Immortals. So we appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I mean, it feels like my comeuppance to be on the final episode since I am to be blamed for it in the first place. But no, I love coming on the pod. Y'all know that, and I always have a blast chatting with you. And I am ultimately glad I played this just to have the conversation, because I think bad or flawed games do breed unique conversation, and always a pleasure to get to do that with y'all. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course, always, and you will be back on at some point as well.
Sure. Yes,
we gotta hit the Matt quota for the year, so it'll happen.
It's been a while since I've been on Get Wrecked. I'm just saying,
That's
the one
true.
I did with Ben was a few years
true.
old. Just saying.
I was recording with Dave Jackson the other day, and he was gloating about how he has the most guest spots on Get Wrecked. So
he does. It's
as of recording,
such a hilarious.
Matt is coming for the
Dave Jackson has done more Get Wrecks than I have.
That is true. That's so factual.
Matt, but if people at home don't know about you and all the fun stuff you do on the internet, why don't you let them know about fun and games and everything?
Sure. Yeah. So I have 2 podcasts, Fun and Games, previously mentioned, which is a broad topic-based discussions podcast that I do with the incredible Jen Moonen. We interview game developers. We do like wide-ranging topics like signposting in games. Is it good? Are you overwhelmed by open worlds? What makes a good boss fight? And then we have a smaller sub-series within the feed that the 2 folks remaining on the call, because Kai walked off. Screw that guy, I guess. No, I'm kidding.
He's like, I'm out of here.
Both of you have done side quest episodes, and those are short form series episodes where a host talks about a game they love and why they love it, and it's meant to be brief and just celebratory about games. Kai is working on one in theory, so that'll be coming soon.
Never gonna happen.
Hey, he's got 2 months of not doing anything.
That's true. He has 2 months. If he doesn't get
Jared,
you
gotta stay on
him,
him.
then I will.
But yeah, and so those are both within the Fun and Games feed. You can find that wherever you find podcasts. And then I do Reignite, which is not too dissimilar to this podcast, where it's book club format, but way more granular. And we are playing through the oeuvre of BioWare. We started with the Mass Effect trilogy, went on to Andromeda, and now we're playing through Dragon Age. We're currently on Dragon Age 2. By the time folks hear this, we may have moved on to Inquisition, because we're in the home stretch. We're playing the DLC for Dragon Age 2. And so that's been a lot of fun. I do that with the incredible Frankie Bradley Lestrange. And also, most importantly, in that series, we just discussed the aliens or fantasy characters we want to smooch, because that's all people really care about in those games.
We all 3 of us here, and the person coming back now, but all 3 of us here know the importance of that.
Of course, without a doubt.
Important.
Yes, important.
Yeah, see, Kai agrees. He agrees. Okay, perfect.
But yeah, and so you can check that out also. And if you wanted just a one-stop shop for everything, you can go to djstormageddon.com. That goes to my link tree. It has both of my podcasts, the Patreon for Fun and Games, my merch store, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And if you want to yell at me personally about this mediocre game, you can follow me on Blue Sky at djstormageddon.com or on Instagram at dj_Stormageddon.
Perfect. And all that will be linked down below. I particularly have had a lot of fun listening through, because I've gone back, because I didn't listen through all of them, the console retrospectives that you and Jen do, and those are always so good. Those are always fun to go back and listen to all.
We got a new one coming up. The vote, just as of a few days of recording, resolved, and we're doing the Nintendo DS next, and we've got a fun guest for it, and so that'll be cool. Yeah, so I didn't think that one would win over the SNES, but it did, so that's what we're doing next.
Ooh, okay. Well, yeah, be excited for that. Well, it's already happened. So go
by now
go listen to it if you haven't. Oh man. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the show as always. Again, like I said, 2-week break. We'll be back on September 1st with a little catch up on where the boys have been in the meantime. But we love you all, and we will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.